fam, how are you? It is I, Smriti of House. I don't know anymore. But I am here today to talk to you about the books that I read in 2020. That is December of 2020. I have already spoken to you about some of my best books of 2020, my worst books of 2020, but we are going to talk about only that 1 month of 2020, which was a weird month for me. I read 9 books in total, but it wasn't the greatest reading month for me because the last bits of my 2020, I was a little preoccupied, and also I was reading a book that I ultimately finished in January, which was a little bit of a chunker, and it just took me some time. So I will talk to you about that in my Jan wrap up. However, in this, let us just begin and talk to you about the 9 books that I read. So the first book that I read was How It All Blew Up by Ahmadi, and this is a cute young adult contemporary coming of age sort of novel, which also has queer themes in it, because the main character is Muslim and he's gay, and he is from the US, and he is not come out to his family, who are like sort of strict like Muslims of sorts. And he doesn't know how to do that. He had a sort of relationship with this boy, but then some people in his school start like blackmailing him. So when things go to he thinks that he's going to be outed to his family essentially, so in that panic he decides to run away to Italy, which I think is just the most me thing to do. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be able to run away with it to Italy because I don't have that sort of money, but like, yes, running away from my problems sounds right about right. Anyway, so that's what he does, and it's about how he finds these people in Italy, how he kind of has like this found family sort of situation, how he gets into like messy situations, but also situations where he's kind of like learning more about himself as a person and all of that sort of stuff. But essentially this is told through like interviews that the family is having with interrogations officers, because essentially what happens is that when he runs away to Italy, his family doesn't really know where he is, and what he's doing, and then they find out. I mean, this is not a spoiler. This is not a spoiler. This is literally like the name of the book. But yeah, so they find him, and then they want to bring him back, and they have an argument on the flight. So of course, if like Arab people talking in Arabic in a flight and fighting, they get like arrested. No, they get like taken to like interrogations offices to get questioned, and yeah, that's basically how then the story unfolds through these interviews that they are just telling to the interrogation officers. I really like this book. It was really cute. I really liked the mother in this book. I thought she was really nice. There was a sister as well who was cute. And yeah, it was. I really liked the characters. I liked all of it. I think I gave it like a 3.75 or a 4 star. I think I gave it a 4 star. Yeah, it was just a really cute, fun time. And I really enjoyed it. The second book that I read was also a young adult novel that is very big on BookTube, and that is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This essentially follows this girl called Frances, who is in the UK, and she is in kind of like a final year of school of sorts and preparing to go to college, which is like her ultimate dream. She wants to go to Cambridge, if I'm not mistaken. And she's preparing for that, but at the same point in time she's obsessed with this podcast that happens, and then she kind of meets this other boy, and it's not a love story, but yeah, she meets another boy, and they just kind of like, there's like a friendship that builds through that. But the themes in this book are very, very interesting. I think that this is a book that should be read by a lot of like high schoolers, or like people who just about started college, just to understand like their perspective, because I do think that like I would have definitely loved this book much more if I was younger, because it talks about like a lot of existential stuff that you feel during that period of time, which is like college, worth it, studying, I don't know, you know what I mean. But I really like the friendships. I thought that it was really cute. I did think that there were some characters that were very like caricaturesque, and like things happened very like easily, if you get what I mean, which was a little strange, but it's fine. I still thought that it was a really cute book. There was a part in the end that was like very Bollywood, but that's also fine. That's fine. I still liked it. I see why people really like it, but I also see why people didn't like it as much. So I gave this like about a 3.5 stars. In the end, I did cry. There's this one scene that happens in the absolute end, like an epilogue sort of situation, and that was like really, really cute, which is why I knew that I had to give it a 3.5 instead of a 3. And yeah, it was just a generally really cute book, and I definitely hope to read more Alice Oseman as the years continue. Hopefully, if we're not dead, because the next 3 books I already spoke about in a vlog, so you can check that out, but I will just tell you very briefly what it's about and like my brief thoughts. The first book that I read was Love Your Life by Sophie Kinsella, and I did not like this book at all. It was just, oh boy, Miss Kinsella and I are not friends anymore. I spoke about this in that vlog, but also my worst books of the year book thing. So yeah, so there was that. I did not like it. I just did not like the characters. They were just really annoying. Essentially, it follows a couple that met in a writer's workshop, where you have to keep your personalities anonymous, but then later on, when the workshop is over and they have to go back to real life, they have to figure out whether they really do work together, because they are very opposite as personalities, and as that, it just sounds great, but anyway. Then the second one was Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade, and this follows 2 characters, one who is a TV actor on a really famous TV show, and the other one who is like this fan fiction writer, but also this really cute geologist who is also like a plus size character. So it was really cool to see a plus size character in a book. Who was confident, and like she knew what she wanted and stuff like that. So that was really cool. But essentially, they meet because of some certain circumstances, and then they kind of fall in love, and it's their story, and it is very steamy. It is very graphic, but also very cool. I liked their love story. They also had a lot of things going on in their lives apart from their characters like coming together, which I thought was definitely cool. And what else? Oh, also I really liked the fact that there was this. I watched Game of Thrones, like I loved Game of Thrones till like the season finished, and essentially the character in this is talks a lot about how the showrunners have really screwed up the last season of this TV show, and it was just a delight to see, because like it just gave me flashbacks, but like a gleeful I want to shit on the showrunners sort of flashback. But yeah, that was that. And then the 5th book was This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousens, and this is a debut novel, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is so cute. But essentially it follows 2 people who were born on the same day, during the same time, on like 1st of January at midnight or something like that, and they don't really know each other, but they come from very different worlds, and they meet again at this New Year's party, which is on their birthday, and then it's sort of like their relationship and what might continue and stuff like that. And I just thought this was a really cute, wholesome read. I really like the side characters in this as well, because I really felt like all of the characters were really fleshed out, and it just gave me like those rom-com sort of vibes. So I gave this one a 5-star because it was exactly what I needed at the time, and it totally fulfilled it. I absolutely love this book. The next book that I read was I don't know what came over me, but I read this book, and it was Piranesi by Susanna Clark. But first of all, can we talk about the cover? Okay, and also if I open it up, you will see how beautiful it is. It's just so beautiful. Yes, but anyway, this book, the less I tell you about it, the better. But spoiler alert, this was in my best books of 2020. So yeah, December really turned out like my worst, but also one of my best. But essentially, this book follows this guy called Piranesi, who is in a interesting world, which basically seems like a really large museum, which also has like tides, like rivers and waters and all going through it. And he lives in this world with like statues and all of that sort of stuff. And he's the only person who lives here. But he doesn't really know how he got there. So it's like a lot of like lost memory sort of situation. And there's this other guy called the Other. But essentially, what happens is as the book continues, you realize that things are not quite as it seems, and there's something odd about this place. There's something odd about like everything, and it just really reels you in. And I had to compulsively read this book. It's not too big, so it's not that bad to kind of like compulsively read, but holy shit, like this took you places. Like it really fucking took you places. And I really enjoyed it. I know that there are a lot of people who did not like the end. I, however, did not mind it. I just thought that like it was really interesting the way Susanna Clark went in all those different directions. So this was definitely like a 4.5 or 5-star read for me. I think, yeah, 4.5 would be it. I then read Women Dreaming by Salma, which is translated by Meera Kandaswamy. Meera Kandaswamy is a really famous writer and now a translator. But essentially, Salma is a book that was written in 2001, if I'm not mistaken. And it follows the lives of these Muslim women in a Tamil village, and it's basically about them dreaming. I mean, essentially, but it's about them dreaming about getting out of the situations that they are in. We follow various generations, from the grandmother to the mothers to the sister-in-laws to the aunts to the children who are growing up. But it essentially follows how this one decision kind of sparked the like a lot of like this one patriarchal sort of decision that kind of happened, and it had a lot of repercussions in people's lives, especially these women's lives. And it's how they were trying to break the mold, or like retain the mold, or like how they try to kind of like fight the system but also trying to maintain their sanity, if that makes any sense to you. I thought that this book was really well written. I feel like every time I was reading this book, I had to like kind of challenge my privilege, because I was just like, you could have made another decision if you had only done this. And but I know that if I was in that situation, I probably wouldn't have had that choice. So it was just really interesting to kind of read and realize those things as well. However, I do believe that this was not as tight as a book. I feel like if there were a lot of times where I was just like, it was going on for too long, even though I read this book really fast, I did feel like it went on for a longer period of time than it should have. I felt like maybe it could have been edited, which brings me to think about like, would you edit a translated work, or would you just translate it word for word, if you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, I still liked it. I liked what it had to say, but I wasn't in love with it, which is why I gave it like a 3.25, 3.75, 3.5. I don't know, somewhere around there. And then because I was reading Midnight's Children and it was giving me a lot of like, I don't know, just headaches, I decided to read Sheets by Brenna Thummler, which is a graphic novel which is just so cute. Like, I don't know if you can see, it's just really cutely designed, and yeah, I just really like this one. This basically follows this girl who is 13 years old, and her mom has died, and her father, I think, is going through like depression and just like having to deal with the mom's death. But she is taking care of the family plus the family business, which is a laundry service. And then there's this other guy who is a ghost, and ghosts essentially have just sheets on top of them and with like holes in them, and that's how they represented themselves in this book. And it's then about kind of like their journey, sort of. It's I don't quite, yeah. So this book follows some very interesting themes. I thought that it was going to be this light, fluffy read, but it was not. It actually followed and spoke about some of my most intriguing themes that I kind of look for, which is like grief and how to deal with it, and mental illness and mental health, and having to stand up for yourself, and just it was just really nice. I was taken by surprise by this book, and I liked what it had to say. I thought it was really cute. Again, I read it really fast, and I think I gave this about a 4 star. And then we were on, we were December 31st, and I thought that I really had to like get it together and finish Midnight's Children in order to get me to 120 books. But nope, Ruchita, who is a dear friend of mine, gifted me Saga Volume 3. And if you know, I am in love with Saga. I just read it like this year, I think like in November or something, and I absolutely fell in love with it. But the books are really expensive to get. So she gifted me the 3rd volume, and of course, as soon as I got it, I read it. And I absolutely loved it. This is just, it just follows the lives of the people, and I can't really tell you about what happens in volume 3 without spoiling you for volume 1 and 2. So I will just tell you what Saga, the series, is about. Saga is essentially about this woman and this man who fall in love, but they are literally from 2 different worlds. They are very different species as well, and then they have a son. They get married and have a son, and essentially they were both in the army, and they kind of like defected because of this, and they're on the run, and essentially we have people who are trying to kill them. Yeah. And there are also, yeah, so that's essentially the story, and through this you get to see like their lives while they are on the run, but you also get to see their lives before. You also get to see a lot of these other characters who are involved with them through this journey, and you get to see their backstories as well. And I just think that Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples just do such a brilliant job in putting this all together, and it almost feels like very, very movie like. This series is in my best books of 2020. Again, I would recommend that you check that out. You will be surprised where exactly this stood in my top 20 list, because I ranked it. But yeah, anyway, that was the last book that I read, and I read it. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, that is it. I'm gonna stop talking now and let you go. But before I let you go, let me know what was the favorite book that you read in December of 2020, if you remember, or just like, leave a cute happy emoji down below. I don't know what that cute happy emoji is, but you do you, and you figure it out, and you let me know. I'm happy to get happy emojis. Okay, that is all I have to say now. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and bleh. Okay, bye.